And everyone can hear us now. Hello. Woo! Hello, my friend. It's a pleasure to have you yet again on the Twitch stream. How are you?
Me or them?
You're the one here. You're the guest.
I am fantastic. I have my cuties because vitamin C is important.
Nice.
I've got me a bottle of water because in 2021 we're still staying hydrated.
Always stay hydrated. I did not get any water. I made a mistake. But that's okay. I do have a Batman shirt, so in a sense, I'm ultimately prepared for anything.
Right.
Ultimately prepared for anything, as Batman is.
And Luke is watching your back, so.
Oh yeah, I got Luke Skywalker, and I keep that thing on me, just in case. That's like my favorite joke to do on work meetings when I'm in here is grab that lightsaber and be like, I'm ready. But welcome back to another movie talk stream, Untitled movie talk stream, because I'm gonna make this bigger because I actually really, really love this movie poster. Untitled movie talk stream, because I don't know what to call this thing, but here we talk about the movies that we love. I bring on different people, various guests, and we have a conversation around several films that we love. The film in question today is the 1995 cinematic masterpiece from Mr. Joel Schumacher himself, Batman Forever, starring Val Kilmer as Batman / Bruce Wayne, Tommy Lee Jones as Harvey Dent / Two-Face, Jim Carrey. Holy shit, man. Chris O'Donnell gets last billing on this poster. Jim Carrey as Edward Nygma / the Riddler, Nicole Kidman as Dr. Chase Meridian, and Chris O'Donnell as Dick Grayson, a.k.a. Robin.
Boo.
Yes. So full spoilers here, or peeking behind the curtain, as it were. I'm gonna shit on Chris O'Donnell. We discussed this before we started rolling. I was like, look, I'm gonna talk about how I fucking hate Chris O'Donnell in this movie, really in any movie. But he's the worst part of this movie, as tends to be. And look, if loving something is understanding its flaws. So there are things in this movie that are not great. Could be better. But it was nice.
But then there's some things that are fucking amazing.
Yes. And it was 1995. So at this point, what? We've gotten 3 Dick Donner three Superman movies, 2 Batman movies, a He-Man movie. Like, none of the Marvel movies were worth a damn at this point. Because this is like after the Roger Corman Fantastic Four, I believe.
Well, see, you say that, even though I promise I'm not going to go on a tangent here.
Oh, yeah.
But Roger Corman's Fantastic Four is the best Fantastic Four movie. Like, from a story perspective.
Which says a lot when you consider. Because if you haven't seen that...
Track it down.
Yeah, track it down. It's out there.
Look, maybe we can do an episode about that in the future.
We can. Yeah, I'll talk about that movie. So just a little bit of backstory, as I like to do. I like to set the stage before we get into why we love this movie. But this was a movie, again, this is the 3rd installment in the series. We had gotten 2 from Tim Burton in the 89 Batman, and then the follow-up for Batman Returns. This had a budget of $100 million and brought in $336 million at the box office, which is big money in 1995. But that by this point, I mean, they knew. Which I say that, but that's actually wrong. Batman Returns was kind of a disappointment. It did not do as well as they hoped because that movie is fucking grim.
That's exactly why.
McDonald's was very upset with Warner Brothers over Batman Returns. They're like, wait a minute. You have the Penguin murdering children on this?
And then the bad thing was, I think the straw that broke the camel's back, if I remember correctly, was all the black bile coming out of his mouth. Everything else was fine, but it's the stuff coming out of his mouth that we're like, no, this is too much.
Yeah, nobody wants a Big Mac after they watch that shit ooze out of his mouth. At least, at least I don't. So they bring in Joel Schumacher. Originally, you were going to get Michael Keaton to come back. He was excited to come back. He wanted to come back. And then he read the script and he was like, yeah, I don't want to be in this fucking movie. And they offered him a pretty substantial amount of money to come back. And he turned it down. Val Kilmer accepted it without even reading a script, knowing a director, anything. Val Kilmer was in. Which, this is where we begin the love fest. I mean, I gave you a little bit of backstory. I set the stage. Now we're going to tell you why we love it. For me, one of the biggest reasons why I love this movie is Val Kilmer as Bruce Wayne / Batman. I think he's the total package.
I see no lies there.
Yeah.
Where Michael Keaton, he was a really good Bruce Wayne, but not the best Batman.
Yes.
Val Kilmer did both really well, which we don't truly get to see somebody in a role of Batman do both parts well until Ben Affleck a few years ago.
Agreed. And I know that might be an unpopular opinion, but it's my show, and, well, I don't care. Because I agree. I thought Ben Affleck was that perfect, again, since Val Kilmer, because, like, Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne always looked like he was trying to figure out if he left the oven on or not. He was like, my keys? Like, did I leave the lights on? Like, that. He was always distracted, Bruce Wayne. George Clooney just fucking phones everything in. He's just George Clooney. He got paid. Good for George Clooney. Val Kilmer actually seemed like billionaire playboy Bruce Wayne and the Dark Knight himself. So big ups there. Christian Bale. It's the that voice I think just kills Batman, especially by the third picture where he is just like screaming. It's like, come on. That's
at no point in that movie nobody was like, what?
Yeah.
Say that again?
No. Everybody knew exactly what he had said. But Val Kilmer, I think, he crushes it in this role. He just has like one of those personalities for me too. Like in every performance, like no matter what he's doing, no matter the movie's good, the movie's bad, whatever the case may be, he provides one of those performances that just sticks out. Like he's very commanding of the scene and all that kind of good stuff.
Which, from an acting standpoint, because we're about to drift off a little from Val Kilmer, he kills it. But as a fellow fan of films, do you recall any other film that Tommy Lee Jones has been in where he seems like he's having an absolute fucking blast like he is with this one?
This is, okay, I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to be like, this seems like the only movie I've ever seen. Why did you freeze? This seems like the only movie that Tommy Lee Jones has ever done in which he seems to enjoy himself. That he doesn't look like this grumpy curmudgeon, like, why the hell am I here? Like, yeah. No, he has the best time in this movie. And you can argue if he's a good Two-Face, a bad Two-Face. I
but
feel
you remember him though.
Yep. And that's the key. Hold on, I gotta add you back because you froze and you were giving me like a what the fuck look like the whole time. I was like, wait a minute, hold on. No, Tommy Lee Jones. I mean, he and Jim Carrey, I feel at one point had a competition of like who's going more over the top.
And I can believe that.
Apparently, Tommy Lee Jones did not appreciate Jim Carrey's bullshit whatsoever. Like, he was not a fan of what Jim Carrey brought to the table. He was not a fan of Jim Carrey's particular stylings of bullshit. Which that doesn't shock me, because again, like Tommy Lee Jones, the dude looks like he's never having fun. But in this movie, he looks like he's having a fucking blast. I will say, one of my favorite, and again, we'll bounce all over with this, but one of my favorite performance or lines or whatever you want to say from the movie is the first introduction of Two-Face, where he's, you're waiting on the winged Avenger to save you, aren't you, my friend? And he cuts this like whole monologue about like, the duality of, like, one man's a hero, his brother's a coward. And it all ends with a luck! Because up until that point where he says luck, he is Two-Face. Because you see the Harvey Dent, you see this, like, controlled, like, yes, he was a district attorney, he was this, he was that, he's serious. And then luck! And there's Two-Face, and he never goes back to Harvey Dent the rest of the movie. He stays Two-Face, or One-Face, really, the rest of the movie. And again, like, I'm okay with it. I'm like, all right, yeah. But part of me wonders, what does that movie look like if he does that shit the whole movie?
Isn't there supposed to be, like, isn't there a rumored, like, extended, like, Schumacher cut of the movie?
Oh, is there? I have never heard of this.
I believe so. That's something I'll have to double check into. But I'm pretty sure there's a longer cut of the movie that people were campaigning to get out not too long ago when they found out they were redoing the Snyder cut.
I mean, Snyder cut, it's great. But give me the Schumacher cut of Batman, please. Right.
If they can do that, they can do this. Hell, we got a Donner cut of Superman 2.
It's true.
Was a lesser cut, mind you.
Yeah.
But
it's there.
Let's get that extended version.
Yeah.
I don't know if the powers that be are listening to this the way they listen to other side projects that we have.
They do listen to our podcast, our toy podcast, The Hunt, available where all fine podcasts are found.
But if they release that, it'll be fucking fantastic.
Yes.
It's money. Everybody loves money.
I agree. I would love to see it. But see, so let's talk a little bit about the design of this movie and, like, the look of it, because obviously the Burton movie was dark on top of grim with a sprinkle of doom on top of it. But this movie, particularly with Don the Dragon Wilson and his army of neon martial art gang members. This movie really injected some, like, life and color in it, which I believe is one of the stronger points of this movie. Is I like this design better than I like Burton's designs. I think it's way better.
So I feel like Batman Forever takes place in a different time frame. Well, different timeline correction than the Burton films, because Batman exists. Batman Returns is this is just based off of the set pieces.
Yeah.
Is essentially a thematic retelling of, it's like a Batman TV show.
Okay, yeah,
which is why you see things like there's like the same 12 people in every scene. There's not a full city of people. And just like the extravagant sets in the second one.
Yeah. And
this one, it feels more grounded, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Because there's buildings, except the fucking circus was boombastic. Like,
that circus is wild. I wanted to go to that circus so bad.
Like, if they wanted to do like a tour, same way they wanted to do Spider-Man, or like they even do fucking Cats. If we could go to a show and see like the huge like fake statues and people drumming, like another thing, easy money.
I would, that would be amazing. And those drummers were jacked. Like,
yeah,
you would think
they didn't even need to be.
No, they just were. And it was like, all right, okay, I'm here for this. No, that makes a lot of sense. Particularly where you said that, like, it seems like 12 people live in Gotham. In the Burton films, because it's really like the same 12 fucking people. This one absolutely felt like, oh wow, Gotham is a real city and has people in it, and like there's more than just like there's more than like Crime Alley, the court steps, Crime Alley, and Crime Alley. Like, there actually seemed like there was more of the city, and maybe part of that's Joel Schumacher. He has a history specifically in like set design and like costume design. Like, that's where he got his start. Was I believe he was the set designer on The Wiz. Pretty sure he was. I think that was like his first big break. Is he did like all the set designs for The Wiz. He might have also done the costumes. Which, that's another thing I think this movie has. Like, the costumes pretty strong because you immediately like, oh, okay, I know what Two-Face looks like. I know what the Riddler looks like. All that stuff. Because it's such a strong costume design.
No, the costumes. This is one of my gripes with the movie.
Okay.
While I myself feel that this takes place in a different timeline than the other two films, I did not like the fact that his initial suit in this movie was pretty much the Batman '89 suit and not the more armored-looking suit from Batman Returns.
I'll give you that. I will definitely give you that. Can he turn his head in this one? I still don't think he can.
No.
Okay.
I think he could slightly in Batman and Robin. Like, that didn't really become a thing until Christopher Nolan came into play.
Yeah. Oh, so you want to turn your head? No, which made like way more sense because looking at like almost every scene where Batman turns, he actually literally has to go and turn his entire fucking body. So Jim Carrey is the Riddler. What is? I feel like he has, for most people, Jim Carrey's Riddler. You either love it, you hate it. I don't really think I've ever talked to anybody that's like, it's all right. Like, it's either like, it was great or it was shit. Where do you stand?
As an adult, I fucking love it now.
Yep.
As a kid, I wasn't as much of a fan because I was one of those weird kids who was like secretly old as a child.
You were 45 years old
and I was like, what? Why is he acting like this? This is not the Riddler. But my point of reference was comic books, Batman 66, and the animated series. Yeah. Those were my points of reference. But I got older, I could appreciate it more because you understand different interpretations of things. Like the fact that Two-Face, as much as he kills it, is not Billy D. Williams. This is Tommy Lee Jones' interpretation of what he thinks Two-Face is.
Which is
and what happens to be an insane toy commercial.
Yes. That is one huge takeaway from this movie, that it is a giant 2-hour toy commercial. I'm okay with it because when I saw this movie as a kid, I was like, I need to own literally every toy that has Batman on it. Immediately exiting this film. That is my new life goal, is to own everything that is Batman. Because
we never got a cooler design than the bat symbol with the question mark around it either.
Nope. Very amazing design. I love the Batmobile design for this movie. I like 89's and Returns as well. Like I like the Burton design. I really like this one, particularly because they made the toy where it fucking lit up. And you can't beat that. You can't lose me on a toy that lights up and is also a cool car. I enjoyed Jim Carrey as the Riddler, but I think the reason I did is because like everything I'd ever seen as Jim Carrey before this, so that's like your Ace Ventura and In Living Color and things like that. I had only ever seen him as like the funny guy, and this was like, I believe, right before he really blew up and became like the biggest young comedy star in the world. But I liked seeing him as a bad guy because he's still very much Jim Carrey. Like, there's no real deviation from what Jim Carrey does. But he was a bad guy. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, I will say, though, just because it sticks out in my mind, watching this film again, I was reminded how much I hate that scene where he asked Two-Face to teach him how to punch a guy. That was the dumbest shit, I think. Like, I watched that. When I watched it recently, I fucking groaned when that happened. I was like, oh, come on, this is so dumb. Like, as a kid, I don't know that I had a problem with it, but he's like, hey, Two-Face, teach me how to punch a guy. Well, it's very simple, my dear boy. And I was just like, this is fucking brutal.
But if you think about it, though, just as you saw him, like, lose it throughout the movie, because he was relatively okay, then he became more unhinged as the movie went on.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to fight.
That's true.
There's nothing about this dude that comes off as somebody who would know how to defend himself in a fight. So that particular line didn't bother me just because I'm like, he's not going to know how to fight. And even if you teach him how to punch, his punches are gonna suck.
Yes.
Because he's not a fighter. He's gonna play with your head.
Yeah, that's fair. I just hated the scene for some reason. Again, that's like adult me just being like, oh god, this is brutal. So,
That was too
just
close.
got
You were almost a jibble
9
sandwich.
You're right.
resub for my good friend Elliot of the Noob. Elliot the Noob fella, excuse me. Anyway, so we've spoken a little bit about. I'm gonna fix my lights. There we go. Spoken a little bit about Two-Face, the Riddler, Batman. Now we can talk about the other 2 main characters of this film. That, not really very strong characters. I'll start, of course, with Dr. Chase Marie.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Wait. Before we get into that,
Yes.
I have to give credit where credit is due. This movie is the most attractive that I've ever found Drew Barrymore.
Yes. Ooh, yeah. Let's talk about Sugar and Spice real quick before we talk about the shitty things. The most attractive I've ever found Debbie Mazur. Because,
That you.
like, as a kid, I didn't realize that, and I guess the implication is that maybe Two-Face is kind of like a pimp as well. He certainly kind of dresses like one. At least on like the evil outfit, because it's very, very bright. But yeah, Two-Face, he's in his home, his hideout, whatever, his lair, and he's got these 2 smoking hot women just like making him amazing food. Hey, I literally made all your favorite food because you had a rough day today, and they're really hot, and I was good with it. I was like, man, Two-Face is. Maybe he's got a better life than Harvey Dent does, when you think about it. Did Harvey Dent have 2 incredibly gorgeous women, like, fawning all over him? Particularly one who's, like, very much into, like, the gross acid burn face. Like, well,
Girls like bad boys.
That's fair. That is fair. So speaking of bad boys, I'm going to shift. I'm going to shift again. Speaking of bad boys, how about the bad boy that is Chris O'Donnell's Dick Grayson? 45 years old, a ward of the state after his parents died. I hate Chris O'Donnell in this movie. I think he's a awful. I'm sure he's a fine person, actor, whatever. He's fucking god awful as Robin. I have less to say. It'd be easier for me to tell you what I like about what he's done because it would take less time. Because if not, I could just bitch for an hour about like how terrible Chris O'Donnell is as Dick Grayson.
You know why that is?
Why is that? Because he sucks.
I mean, not only that. Oh, excuse me, biting the cutie. His character was definitely more Jason Todd
Yes.
than Dick Grayson.
Agreed. I think that's my issue.
Yeah, because Dick Grayson would never fucking take the Batmobile out for a joyride.
No. He's not going to
He
steal it.
appreciates rules.
He's not going to steal it. And I'm trying to think. So this is 95. Dick Grayson's Nightwing at that point, which he does have, like, he does make, like, a cool little comic reference because he's like, I need a name, Nightwing, and I don't remember the other ones he said, because Nightwing's always one where I'm, like, the Leo DiCaprio meme, where I'm like, but who the hell was it? What, it was Tim Drake at this point, right? In the comics, I think Tim Drake is actually Robin at this point, because Jason's dead. Like, they killed him in 80... I think it was 89, 88, 89, somewhere in there.
He stayed dead a lot longer than comic books typically allow.
Yeah, he was dead for a while. Until Red Hood, which it was the mid-2000s, I think. Yeah, mid-2000s, I think, was Red Hood. And so they brought him back then. But you're right. Like, he is way more Jason Todd than he is Dick Grayson. Also, he is, like, super old. Why the hell is he living with Bruce Wayne and Alfred? Like, I get Gordon. He's like, oh, he hasn't slept. He hasn't even eaten yet. He's been filling out paperwork all day. Bruce, could you help him out? That's my Pat Hingle as Jim Gordon. I get that, but he's all like, all right, I'm out of here. I'm going to catch up with the circuit. I'm going to find Two-Face, and I'm going to kill him. And I'm like, all right, calm down, Chris O'Donnell. You were like, okay, so Chris O'Donnell was 25 when this movie came out. We could assume Dick Grayson's supposed to be about the same age. And I'm just like, why the hell does he need to live with Bruce? I lost you. Uh-oh, hold on. I don't know why. I see you talking, but I can't hear you.
Hello.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Anyway.
But he was announced as the youngest Grayson when they were doing the trick.
Yeah. How old's his brother? 35? Like,
right.
Yeah.
You know who you can blame for that casting?
Joel Schumacher?
No, Saban.
Really?
Because do you not remember what the big show at the time was?
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, right?
And how old were they and supposed to be in high school?
Oh, that's fair. JDF was like 32 years old. He was like, yeah, I'm high school junior, Tommy Oliver. And I'm like, you graduated like 4 times over at this point, sir. No, and so, again, like when you, and this is in hindsight, but when you look at like some of the names that they had come up to be Robin in this particular movie. So initially, and we talked about this again before we started, initially it was supposed to be Marlon Wayans. Marlon Wayans was cast to be Robin, and he was basically Jason Todd because it was like Batman was going to find him literally like stealing the hubcaps off the Batmobile. Which like,
hey, you know whose story that is?
Jason Todd's.
Jason Todd.
It's like, and I get it, like, you wanted to do Dick Grayson because it takes you back to, like, it's the Batman 66 and all that kind of stuff. But again, like, don't sprinkle this bullshit of Jason Todd on Dick Grayson. I like Jason Todd because he's an asshole. I like Dick Grayson because he's a good dude. But here are some of the other names. Leo DiCaprio was considered, which would have really enjoyed Leo DiCaprio was fucking Robin. And then after that, Matt Damon, the 2 Coreys, which, not a 95. Those guys were nothing. Mark Wahlberg, which I'm like,
Robin with a Boston accent.
Yeah, I'll tell. Wow, Bruce.
Batman has a car.
I'm gonna find Two-Face and I'm gonna kill him. Michael Worth, I have no idea who that is. Toby Stevens, no idea who that is. Ewan McGregor, and I was like, okay,
maybe.
All right. This was like pre-Train Spotting Ewan McGregor too. Jude Law, and I was like, all right, yeah, maybe. Alan Cumming, fuck no. He's in GoldenEye like the next year, and he's super old and weird and crusty looking. So fuck no, not Alan Cumming. And then the last name. This one is actually the most intriguing for me. Christian Bale.
That would have been hilarious. That's almost coming full circle.
Right? I was like, oh man, what would life have been like with Christian Bale as Robin? We'll never know. In some alternate universe, it is. But finally, you can't have a Batman movie without the love interest, which is Dr. Chase Meridian, played by Nicole Kidman. She's fine.
Yeah. Can't really say anything bad about her. Like, she was there. I think her highlight for me as an adult was when she was chained to the Riddler's couch.
Yep.
And that was essentially like slave girl Leia before, people with bills.
Yep.
That's how I saw it. But like, she didn't have the same like weird like charisma, for lack of a better term, that Vicky Vale did.
Yeah, Kim Basinger was really kind of magnetic in that role as Vicky Vale. Like I agree with that absolutely.
But for what it's worth, she did get her secondary introduction, I guess what we'll call it, where, spoiler alert for those who for some odd reason haven't seen this movie.
If you've never seen the film Batman Forever, know that we are going to spoil this movie that is literally over 25 years old.
The fact that you see her going and like Bruce kicks in the door because he thinks she's being attacked and she's just like training.
Mm-hmm.
That was I thought that was solid because it doesn't show her as a damsel.
No,
she can defend herself if need be.
She was keeping it tight too. You know, she's keeping it tight. She's getting the sweat in. You know, just keeping a good sweat breaking. No, I thought she was fine. I mean, she's not like obviously she's not as interesting as Selena Kyle was, but shit, she was Catwoman. Like, you know, she had way more to do. I don't think she was quite as interesting as Vicky Vale either. I think Kim Basinger really nails it in '89 with that role. But more importantly, like Vicky Vale, like where they talk about like her Corto Maltese photos and things like that. Like there's definite layers. Like Chase Meridian, like she's fine. I think she serves her role fairly well. She got a way better end of the bargain than Elle Macpherson gets in the next movie. Like, holy shit. Elle Macpherson might have not even well been in that movie. I'm pretty sure they put Elle Macpherson in there because they were like, really feel like Batman and Robin come off as gay lovers, so we need to put a woman in this movie. But no, Chase Meridian's fine, and I did really appreciate a lot of the year one kind of touches with like, you know, the bat and, you know, him falling into the cave and all that kind of stuff and the dreams. Like this movie has some really, really interesting ideas, some of which are like explored, but I feel like maybe this Lost Schumacher cut explores them more.
Apparently it does, and there's also something about a giant like
I know what you're gonna say.
Bat.
Yes, I've seen that. It's terrifying looking. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I need to see this Schumacher cut. Damn it, Warners! This is what the people want. A movie that's over 25 years old needs to have like a resurgence in its cut. No, I think she's fine. Like you said, she doesn't really play the damsel. She's smoking hot. Like I think she's probably the hottest of all the ladies that Bruce Wayne encounters in these four pictures.
Yeah, only because he never encountered Drew Barrymore.
Yeah. No, he did. He did. She pulled the bamboozle on him. Because
shit, that's right.
Yeah, because he goes into the dream like machine or whatever, and apparently all Bruce Wayne thinks about is literally a fucking bat just flying. Like that is just who else has got bats on the brain? Batman, you say? Oh God. Okay. So, and I just want to talk about a couple of minor characters that again make kind of blink and you'll miss it appearances. Again, Don the Dragon Wilson is as the leader of the neon bandits. I don't know what you call them. The dudes that like Dick Grayson gets into a fight with. And the girl, I love that this is how they're credited. Girls on the corner hoping to see Batman. Played by En Vogue. I love
that. That is a very 90s cameo.
Yep. Because apparently they were like, you know, we need to put En Vogue in this. I don't even think they have a song on the soundtrack. Hold on. Let me see. I'm 90% sure they don't. And if they don't, they totally don't.
But if they did, would we remember it?
Well,
compared
probably
to
not.
the song?
I think it's amazing that we've gone this long without mentioning. For those who listen to The Hunt, you'll know that this is a recurring theme that we just literally talk about kisses. Or kisses. Seals kiss from a rose on literally every episode for probably 10 minutes an episode, just cuz.
Because it's a great fucking song.
It is a great song. The worst...
And like it's neutral enough that it's it's not like the Prince Batman songs where you knew they were about Batman.
Yeah.
You can play Kiss from a Rose like on a date.
Yep.
If they'll be like, oh, this is so sweet, not even knowing that it's Batman related.
Yep.
But if you're on a date with myself or Mick, which we're pretty much married at this point, so yeah, none of that. Like, you don't know that's a song from Batman, we're probably not really on a date.
Yeah. You would know if you were on a date with us. In 1995, if you were on a date with us, which
would be weird because we were children.
Yeah, I was like 8 years old. But it's an amazing song. The one thing that is a huge bummer, though, never played in the movie.
But then we wouldn't remember anything about the movie. We'd be like, yo,
that song.
When do we get to the part with Seal?
Yeah, when is Seal showing up? Because, okay, so we give In Vogue a cameo. They don't even do a damn song for the soundtrack. But we can't get Seal to just be like guy at party.
Like, or even like the ringmaster.
Oh, that would have been a great thing. Ooh, no, he's make Seal the head of Arkham Asylum at the end. That's Rene Auberjonois or whatever, Odo from Deep Space Nine. Make that Seal. Make him Dr. Burton, where he's like, well, the thing, because he's British, so he's got a cool accent. Like, damn it,
true.
Missed opportunity. The song that does play in the movie, though, is the other major big hit from '95, which is U2's "Hold Me, Kiss Me, Love Me." Or shit, did I drop what the hell is that song called? I was literally just listened to it and I'm like, what is this song called? Hold on. I don't listen to U2. Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me by U2. That is actually played within the film. And it is the scene in which Dick Grayson meets In Vogue. Because he's like, which look, I don't want to shit in Chris O'Donnell's mouth here, but
might as well.
Yeah. What the fuck is he doing where he's riding along and he's like, come for a little ride in my love machine? I'm like, what the fuck? What is this voice? What are you doing, dude? What is this voice?
Well, you gotta think. If you're in his position and you have a Batmobile with limited time and you want to show off, where do you go?
To find a hooker, apparently, because that's where the hell he was at. Like, because
I'm going to the car line at school so all the parents can be jealous.
Yep.
And then as I leave, I'm turning on the flames and I'm getting up out of there.
I would definitely not have gone to what was clearly the worst part of Gotham. And I get that he's like, I'm going to go fight crime, which, I mean, he's just like he's wearing like a jacket and like, he doesn't even look like he's ready to fight crime. At least wear like a tank top or something. Show off the guns. Like, try and look intimidating. I don't know. I'm just saying. And then there was like 400 dudes who were all wearing neon and no kung fu, apparently. Gotham's gangs are some shit, which I guess with Batman being your, defender of your city, the gangs had to up their shit. I mean, they're like, well, clearly guns don't work, but what might work is if we have like neon nunchucks and learn kung fu.
You got to use it as a distraction.
Gotham's a weird place, man. Gotham is a weird place. So let's talk a little bit about the amazing crossovers into other sections of life that this movie got. Of course, I'm speaking about what might be the coolest item that you could have gotten from a retail partner of theirs. I'm talking, of course, about the themed glasses from McDonald's.
Okay, so story time.
Oh, yes.
So Batman movies typically came out around my father's birthday.
Yeah.
Which is June 19th.
Oh, wow.
This one
is like 9 days before, right?
I feel like this came out on the 16th, maybe?
This came out... It did.
Either 16th or 18th, one of the curvy numbers.
Nailed it. 16th. It was indeed the 16th.
So, I remember going to McDonald's like a week before release.
Yeah.
And seeing these. And like, I went to the flea market with my grandmother. I sold some toys because my father loves Batman as well. Got to get him one of these glasses. Got to get him the Batman glass.
Have to. That's a good son move right there.
Got him the glass. Hid it away. Went to go see the movie. Also went to McDonald's before then too, because guess what? They had toys again, and one of them was a Batman with a suction cup, and he just like kind of hung there, like he does when you see him in like his first appearance in the movie, where he's kind of just like swinging in.
Oh
the frame.
yeah, good call, McDonald's. Good
So
call.
we went to see the movie. Yeah, dope ass movie. It's Batman. Everybody loves Batman. Get him the cup. He was excited because I gave him something with money that I earned. My mother knocked it into the sink, the bathroom sink, while she was brushing her teeth and shattered it.
Oh,
There's only 2 occasions in my life where I can honestly say that, like, up to that point, that I was like, I would fight her. One of them was her breaking that glass. The other one was because when I was in high school, she told me I couldn't skip school and go to Columbia to go see Prince in concert.
I mean, that's...
But the glasses, though, were fantastic. I have a set now.
I do too.
They're my eggnog cups in the winter.
Nice.
They look really fucking good. Like, I don't know if they realized how hardcore of a job that they did on these cups in 1995, to the point where like we're still using them and drinking out of them, and
They're amazing.
They've held up fantastically.
Yeah, they're incredible. Like I am, and you would think like they would chip easily or like start just crumbling into dust. They're solid glasses. Like they are really solid. So my parents got all of them, like, because my parents are younger. So they were like, oh, hell yeah, let's get some Batman glasses, you know? So we had them. Of course, they got lost over the years. And as I got older, started to get a little money. I was like, man, I'd really like a set of those Batman glasses. Wonder if they're on eBay. Sure enough, they were. They were a little pricey. In the process, though, as I was preparing things to move into my now home, we had some boxes from when we had moved into our rental place. You just like threw them in the kitchen closet. We're like, I don't even fucking know what's in there. It says glasses or whatever. Open them up, and I found my old roommate's complete set of Batman glasses that I didn't tell him that I have, because I'm like, looks like somebody's got a new set of Batman glasses that he didn't have to pay shit for. So they are now. I am essentially the old person in that. Those are the nice glasses. We don't use those glasses. Those glasses just sit on the kitchen counter and look good. Like that's what they're
Right.
They just sit there. I don't know what, because they're not big. Because like my first thought was like, I'm gonna fucking drink my coffee out of this glass every day, and it is like this big. So I would need to have like 4 glasses of coffee to feel like it was just like you could literally just take it in one sip and it's gone.
Right.
So yeah, like that was the thing. But they sure look good on my counter. Stand
I
up
still
glass.
actively, like, when I go, because I just recently started being able to go back to Goodwill again.
Nice.
Because, COVID. That's still one of the things that I actively look for when I go to a thrift store, is more of the glasses, just because they're beautiful and they're great, and it's fucking Batman.
Yeah. Cannot argue how fantastic those glasses are. Again, we've talked about the great Batman mobile design, and that was a great toy. That was like I need that one. So I like to and I'm bad at this, so I forgot to do this earlier. But take us back to 1995 and your awareness of this movie, and like kind of where everything was in the world at the time when this movie came out, or your first exposure to this movie. I mean, like, I imagine, much like myself, it's hard for you to pinpoint like, oh, this is the first time that I was aware of Batman, because for like me, like, he's always been a part of my life. Like, there's never a point where I'm like, I remember the first time I saw Batman. Nope, couldn't tell you. He's just always been there.
I can actually tell you the first time I saw Batman.
Oh.
And it was on the Family Channel, because they had Batman 66 in syndication. So that was my first experience with Batman, was 66. And I watched that up until it stopped airing in syndication.
Nice.
Then it moved over to the Sci-Fi Channel. and I watched it there. Then we had the animated series come out, but I feel like I saw a commercial for this movie and decided this is what I needed to see. But it just so happened, like I mentioned before, it was released around my dad's birthday. So that became like kind of like our ritual. If there's a Batman coming out, we're gonna see it on the weekend of his birthday.
Which is solid. Can't argue with that.
But like as a whole, just like much like Ninja Turtles, Batman's just always been there.
Yeah.
He's been there longer than a lot of family members have.
Boy, I don't know that is. It's like family lets you down, but Batman never does.
Right.
No, man. When I look at this movie, and I could be wrong, but I'm fair. Hold on, I want to check one thing just to make sure that I do not tell a lie. But I'm pretty sure I'm not going to. Oh no shit. Okay, never mind. I was going to say, I believe this may have been because I moved from Wilmington to Charlotte when I was in the 3rd grade. So I was 8 years old. So what? That's 9? Okay, so it was another year. It was 96. So I must have moved to Charlotte in 96. But I was going to say, I'm 90% sure that the last movie that I can absolutely remember, like, oh, yep, saw this movie in theaters, was Batman Forever. That's wrong. It was Mortal Kombat. But another great film that will be discussed on this show. But yeah, I remember going to see this movie and sitting in the theater, and I was like, holy shit, Mad Mardigan is Batman. This is awesome. Like, that was my takeaway from this movie. I was like, Mad Mardigan is Batman. Wow.
That was the first sign of you having to accept that you were a nerd.
Yeah. This is cool. He's Batman now. Man, he's going to do so many great things. Like the Island of Dr. Monroe.
All right, hold on. That was a good movie.
That is a good movie. I'm just saying, most people don't think it is. You know what else is another good movie that he did after this? The Saint, which is a badass movie. I love that movie. But yeah,
he had a really good run. Like, he was essentially like Billy Zane with talent.
Damn! Oh! Somebody call and check Billy Zane. I'm pretty sure he's dead after that.
Yeah, see, no. Well, all the shots of Billy Zane, like, he was in The Phantom.
I love The Phantom. It's a great movie.
I do too. And he's in one of the highest grossing movies of all time in Titanic.
He was also the villain in Demon Knight, which he's awesome in that movie.
And he was in some weird, like, Matrix Kung Fu TNT original movie at some point, where the only thing I can remember from that is him throwing a CD at a guy and it's spinning, and him using like his telepathy to not let the CD like slice his head.
Huh.
I'll have to, you know what? Let me, 1 moment, please.
Yes, absolutely. Man, he's like Billy Zane with talent. That is, I'm pretty sure Billy Zane fight you if he heard that. Like, that is, or he might completely agree and be like, yeah, no, Val Kilmer's way more talented than me. Man, poor Billy Zane. Like, I'm trying to, what was he doing? Oh, he was in Tombstone. Oh, there's a connection. He knows that Val Kilmer's more talented because they were both in Tombstone.
The movie was called Invincible.
I've never heard about that. And I'm like, what was Billy Zane doing in 95? Demon Knight. And then The Phantom in 96. And then it's Danger Zone. And then Titanic. And then he kind of just falls off. Oh boy. Yeah.
I mean, maybe we could reach out to Billy Zane and be like, hey, would you like to come talk about how great The Phantom was and how everything else really wasn't?
I would. We need to get on Twitter and reach out to Billy Zane. That's what we need. I need Billy Zane. I need Billy Zane.
He can take time off from his managerial shift at Starbucks.
I'm sure he can get somebody to cover his shift. It's gonna be fine. Right. Billy, how much for you to come and talk on on a podcast about the Phantom. He's like, $20? Fucking sold.
That Invincible movie came out before we get back to Batman.
Oh yeah,
like around the time with all the Matrix hype. So I think it was supposed to like capitalize on that.
Okay, so it's like Blockbuster used to do, where Transformers is in the theaters, but you go to Blockbuster and you can rent Transmorphers. Like, yeah, it's one of those.
I actually own that movie.
Really?
Yes.
Is it exactly what you would think it would be?
It is so fun.
Huh?
It's not good.
It's fun.
It's fun. But it's typical sci-fi original movie fare, though.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, so I remember distinctly thinking, like, wow, Mad Mardigan's Batman, that's awesome. And then this is definitely going to date, like, this story. It's not as interesting as Years with Glass, I don't think. It's weird. So afterwards, I don't even remember why we stopped, but we left the theater and had just seen it, and I was like, man, that was awesome. And we stopped at Blockbuster, where they were doing those things where, like, if your kid got, like, abducted or went missing, there was a videotape that you could give the authorities that they could watch, so they could hear, like, the kid speak and hear what the kid was into and kid liked. And you also got, like, a little identification card with, like, your thumbprint, like, your picture and all that, and your height, weight, hair color, all that jazz. We stopped at Blockbuster, and for some reason my grandparents were like, ooh, let's do this, get you this thing, so if somebody abducts you, like, I'm like, looking back, like, those don't really make any sense. Like, what is that going to help anybody? Like, here's a video, and because we had just come from Batman, the poor girl who was the clerk responsible for, like, getting this 8-year-old child to talk to a complete stranger for a certain amount of time, so that if he was indeed abducted, somebody could find him based off of this information, I guess. And she was like, so, you like Batman? And I was like, yeah, he's great. And she's like, who's your favorite Batman? I was like, Mad Mardigan. She goes, who? I was like, Val Kilmer. Or no, she was like, who did you like better, Michael Keaton or Val Kilmer? I was like, why is she? I don't know why, but she was like up here. She could have been down here, but she was here. And I was like, Mad Mardigan? She's like, what? Val Kilmer. Oh, yeah, he's great, right? Wasn't Jim Carrey scary? I was like, the fuck? Like, no? Like, what? No! It's not scary at all. But yeah, so that was like a really weird thing that we did after seeing Batman, and I have no idea why we did that or why that is like burned into my brain. It's like after I saw Batman Forever, I did this weird VHS tape where if I was stolen, somebody could find me. So yeah, just
Wait, that was like really popular in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. And now we literally ignore everything that they told us in the 90s.
Right. But I don't know, like, I really want to look and see if, like, things like that actually helped. Because
I can't imagine that they were huge.
Know about you, but, like, I don't really remember, like, kidnappings really being as big of a thing when we were growing up as much as they are now that we're adults.
Oh, yeah, they're way more prevalent now, but, like, I don't know. Like, I certainly remember everyone telling us that we should be afraid that somebody was going to kidnap us.
But they also told us to be concerned about quicksand, and you see how well that worked out.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Let me tell you the amount of times that I've been concerned about running into quicksand in my life. It is 0. Like, quicksand. Oh, and drugs. Like, if you look at a marijuana cigarette, you are going to become a psychopath murderer. Like, that was the other big thing in the 90s, is, like, strangers are bad, drugs are going to turn you into, like, a maniac, and quicksand is a motherfucker.
Accurate.
Yeah.
And look at where we are now. Everybody's getting kidnapped, everybody does drugs, and strangers are our best friends.
Yeah, and I'm sure quicksand is somewhere in the mix. It's waiting. Quicksand is going to make its return.
COVID's going to die, and then all of a sudden we're just going to have quicksand pits.
Yes. So, what are some of your favorite bits for the movie, or at least bits that really stand out for you, where you look at it and you go like, this is a very strong point for this movie?
So the scene where after they've been attacked and they debut the Batwing and the Batboat.
Yeah.
That's one, because the image of the Batwing flying through the Batcave, and then, the supplemental, hey, Batwing in front of the moon shot. Like, in 2021, that still looks really fucking good.
It really does. I was shocked how good it still looked.
Too.
Yeah, more than likely. It was like miniatures and stuff, I'm sure.
But there's that. There's when Batman busts in through the storm windows.
Yeah.
And into the pit, and then he jumps out, and then he flips, and then he lands on his feet. And I'm pretty sure Jim Carrey had
your interest was good, his was better.
That if there was ever a point where like that cemented Val Kilmer as a superb Batman for me, it was that. Because you weren't seeing Beetlejuice do stuff like that in his movie.
No.
Like, you were just glad to see him on 2 feet.
Agreed. I think that's really strong. I also think where they bust into Wayne Manor and just wreck shit, I think that's actually really strong, because I never felt like Michael Keaton's Batman was ever really vulnerable or particularly in a lot of danger. And for that matter, he never really got egg on his face. Like, sure, like Catwoman like scratched him in the side or whatever, and he beat the Christ out of the Joker. But I never really felt like, oh, the villain actually feels like a threat to Batman.
Right. And they established that at the very beginning, though.
Yeah.
Which I thought was cool. Now, like, looking back as an adult, like, the fact that, like, he knew what he knew, and one of the first things Edward Nygma did was went to Wayne Manor and put up the envelope.
Yeah.
Like, that's, like, foreshadowing for, like, little kids. Like, had we caught that, we would have probably thought this was the most brilliant film ever made.
Agreed. It's... stuff like that is super, super strong. I do feel like some of it gets overshadowed by the performances of the actors. Like, particularly, like... Again, at some point, it's literally like Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey are having a competition to say, like, I am going to be bigger than you in this scene. And it's unfortunate because it slightly overshadows just, like, those moments of brilliance where, like, you know, Riddler does figure out, like, oh, Bruce Wayne and Batman are the same person. Like, let's go to his house and fuck him up. And they do. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, the opening, just the kind of the first 10 minutes or so of the movie, strong, like real strong.
Very.
Straight into the action, straight into ass kicking. Two-Face's thugs look cool. Like, they look really good. Actually, they kind of look like knockoff. They look like Roughneck from G.I. Joe because they got like the toboggan. But they look cool. They've got, like, machine guns. They blast the elevator. Open sesame. Like, all that, super cool. The bank vault being filled with acid, very cool. The helicopter, all that shit is awesome. It's way better than the opening of Batman Returns, I'll tell you that, because you don't fucking see Batman for, like, 35 minutes.
Yeah, which, in a movie named after somebody like that, it's kind of important to have them show up relatively.
Yeah. Batman Returns about 45 minutes into the movie. But first, we're going to show you all this weird stuff with Penguin.
That I still love that Penguin sequence, though. I'm not even going to lie.
It's a great sequence, but I want Batman in my Batman movie first. Show me Batman, then show me the Penguin. Then, yeah. No. So that was kind of weird. Oh shit, George Wallace was the mayor of this. Huh. Alright. I completely forgot that George Wallace was the mayor in this movie. I just happened to see it.
I do have a confession about the first, like, 10 minutes, though. for the longest, I thought that the security guy who was in the vault, I thought that was supposed to be like Robert De Niro. They chose like the most Robert De Niro looking guy for that.
I love it.
But to be fair, I also thought for a while that Max Shrek was on the $20 bill because he looks like a lot like Dude Man on the $20 bill.
He does look like Andrew Jackson. Speaking of, I mean, I hate that Max Shrek got killed because I would have loved Walken to come back and just, he's so done in that movie too. Where Bruce is like talking to him, and he goes, yawn. Like, just, I mean, that's another story for another time. So, the one big gripe that I have for this movie, what the fuck is Riddler's plan? Like, what is the end goal? Like, he gets super smart with the box, like, by making shitty VR, I guess. That's like my only negative for like real like Brown. Like, this doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, at least Joker's made a little more because he's fucking crazy and he wants to kill people. But no, never mind. It just remembered bank account numbers, Social Security. Like, it's a really elaborate scheme to steal people's money, but it's still kind of like, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but at the same time, you find out, all of Bruce Wayne's bank account information, and you go and you randomly just withdraw like a few thousand at a time.
Yeah.
He's not going to notice that.
Yeah. It's like...
do you think he looked at his financial statements?
No. It's like Superman 3. It's basically like Superman 3. You were stealing pennies that equate up to dollars, except, you just take like $5,000 here or there. He's never going to notice. Like, never. Right. He's never going to be aware of that. So there is one thing that we forgot to gripe about earlier when we were talking about Chris O'Donnell is, this will be the nice gripe fest here. The wash scene where he's doing his laundry and how inefficient, like, it would be to do laundry in that way.
So was his goal to do laundry or was his goal to mop the floor?
His goal to make a fucking mess is what apparently it was.
That's exactly what he did. Yeah. And he looked directly at Alfred, and he knew Alfred was going to have to clean up. Yep. Like, he's 104 years old. Don't make that man bend over.
Yeah. It's like, what are you doing, dude? You know he's going to slip on that and break his fucking neck, right? Like, what is wrong with you? You are a guest in this house, young man. Or old man. I don't know. No, that scene is garbage. Like, because it doesn't... Like... What is he showing? Like, he knows the ancient art of wash fu? Like, how would we think he knows how to fight? Like, he doesn't know how to fight. I'm expecting Don the Dragon Wilson to kick his fucking head off his shoulders later. Because I'm like, bro, I've seen you with a wet sweater. It did look like you had things under control. I'm just saying.
Well, I have a gripe with Chris O'Donnell, but it's definitely not quite the same gripe. Okay. So story time.
Okay.
So when Batman films would come out, I had a ritual. I would get the quick change Batman action figures because essentially you're getting two toys in one.
Yeah.
I got the quick change Robin action figure. And his came out in that weird time in the 90s where, especially with the Barbies, the using the water to change color of things was like the big thing. Like, put the blue sponge with cold water in her hair and it'll make her hair pink or whatever.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So he had a mask where if you put like cold water on his face, his mask was supposed to appear. But the mask never went away. It was poorly done. Like, it was a cool execution, but if he doesn't have the rest of his suit stuff on, guess what? As a small child, people are going to know he's Robin. So I ended up having to buy a completely different Robin figure, which was, he had on like jeans and like a leather jacket and a bandana. I guess he was supposed to be the biker.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And like, I shouldn't have had to make that purchase.
No.
Because my fucking Val Kilmer action figure, all I had to do was push his head down, and then I could put the Batman overage on. Bam, got a Batman. Take the Batman part off. You get Val Kilmer is a black sweatshirt and like a red shirt up underneath.
Yeah.
Simple things. They try to do too much, but the line was very good.
Yeah.
There were some very cool action figures to come from that.
It was a very strong
Especially
line.
the Batmobile.
I do like the Robin costume design in this movie as well. I think it's a pretty solid design.
Yeah, they took the whole, hey, he used to be a trapeze artist.
Yeah.
And they incorporated it enough where you could see in the suit where it's a tribute, but he doesn't look like he could easily be shot and killed.
Unless you shot him in the head.
All the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Where he's like got bare legs and, you know, I appreciated the design to make it look like armor. The mask is a pretty cool mask. And I'm sure somebody out there is going to be like, well, what about the bat nipples? I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about the bat nipples. Who
That
cares?
didn't show up till the second movie, till Batman and Robin, didn't it? I know there were gratuitous butt shots.
Oh no, I know they're the bat nipples. This was the debut of the bat nipples.
Ah.
Yeah, and the gratuitous butt shot, which, I mean, look, okay, Joel Schumacher's a gay man. He
Is he?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, so you know that explains a lot of stuff now. But I know that Batman and Robin had like, I remember reading there's like an insane cult following in the LGBT community for that movie, and I just thought, you know, hey, this is really cool. They have a movie they could watch and not be criticized because they love the movie, even though there are criticisms for that movie, but another show for another day.
Yeah. So, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't wrong. When I was like, oh yeah, Joel Schumacher was very gay, which again, that's perfectly fine. So I checked. He had, Schumacher said that he had sex with between 10,000 and 20,000 men. When did you have time to do anything else? Wow.
That's a lot, because I have trouble like listing a solid like 15 people that I genuinely like.
Yeah. Jesus. I mean, good for him. Wow. Now, I'm shook on that. So, I think this movie was strong. I do hate that Val Kilmer only did the one and done. I think that's kind of a bummer. But, you know, I love this movie because visually it's beautiful. It's a beautiful movie. It's incredibly... he blended enough of like the initial kind of like gothic designs from Burton, but injects like life and color into it. Gotham feels like it's alive. It's a little over the top, but it's not Batman and Robin over the top, which that's a whole nother story. But yeah, I love this movie. And in 1995, I think this is everything that I wanted out of a Batman movie. Because I love 89 Batman. I love Batman Returns. But this one hits a little bit differently. This one feels like an actual superhero movie, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Like, I feel like when you look at like what the MCU is now, I feel like this was a template of what a successful comic movie in the 90s should have been looking like, you know?
Right.
Because you have a decent mix of stars, both younger and older. You have compelling action scenes, good performances. The costumes, they look like they're superheroes and villains before we got to that weird point where it was like, nope, nobody can look like they are wearing a fucking costume in a movie. Like, the villains have costumes. Riddler goes through a whole thing of trying to figure out, like, what is my costume that I'm gonna wear? Like, which is kind of weird, I guess. Retrospectively,
but he was gonna be Captain Kill.
Yeah, Captain Kill. I love Jim Carrey's performance in this movie. I think it's like it is literally a Jim Carrey performance. I would be intrigued to see the one that the performance he gave where Joel Schumacher said, "Jim, I want you to give me one from the script, please, and then we'll get a couple of you doing whatever you want to do. Because I feel like most of the shots that we got were Jim just doing whatever the fuck he wanted to do.
But that's part of his, like, improv is one of his things, though. If there's anybody you could trust to do it and do it really fucking good, it's going to be Jim Carrey.
Yeah. So, do you know the who they wanted to be the Riddler and he turned them down?
I have no idea.
Robin Williams. Speaking of improv.
That would have been an interesting take.
He turned it down for a couple of reasons. One, he had issues with his Jumanji contract. I don't think he could actually take the job contractually because it was like a really weird contract he had for Jumanji. But apparently he wanted to be the Joker in '89 Batman. And they didn't, Burton didn't want him to be the Joker, but they used him to kind of bribe Nicholson to taking the role. It was kind of a weird thing if they were like, well, it looks like they're going to go with Robin Williams, and that was like the thing that kind of pushed, Nicholson into taking the role. So he was also like pissed off at them because of that. He was like, you fucking used me as bait to get Nicholson to take the Joker role. Like, why the fuck would I want to be the Riddler? But I would be very intrigued to see what Robin Williams would have done with it. Also, I'm more intrigued because recently I discovered, and this isn't quite related, but it's another movie that I love. Apparently, he improv'd and ad-libbed so much on Mrs. Doubtfire that they could make a G-rated version, a PG-rated version, a PG-13 rated version, a rated R version, and an NC-17 version of Mrs. Doubtfire because of how much he ad-libbed in that movie. And I'm like, fuck, I want to see a rated R Mrs. Doubtfire. Like, where do I sign up?
I'd watch that. But Robin Williams, if you think about him, though, he's such a... Like, what would he do in that role? Because I didn't really see Robin Williams as, like, a more serious and damn near sinister character until 1 Hour Photo.
I was going to say, like, 1 Hour Photo, he nails it. No, it would have... I don't know. My guess is, like, he wouldn't have been, like, as big as Jim Carrey. Like, he would have been funny and, like, kind of quippy, but
yeah.
I don't think he would have been like, I'm Batman. I don't... The whole, like the typical Jim Carrey performance. So I feel like he wouldn't have been as big. I tell you what I wanted, and I was super bummed because as a comic book fan... As a fan of the two previous movies, I know when I fucking saw Two-Face and he's giving the whole rundown. I was like, that's Tommy Lee Jones. That's not Billy D. Williams.
But you know what, though? Billy D. finally got his just desserts when Lego Batman dropped.
Yes. Which, it's not what I wanted, but I'll take it. Like, I would have loved to have seen him been like Bruce. Damn it. What could have been? Fucking Billy D. Williams cutting it up with Mad Mardigan. Bruce, this deal keeps getting worse all the time. I'm gonna ask you... Oh, man, like Drew Barrymore and Debbie Mazar, like, you would have worked with Billy D. Or... Maybe it would have been, hold on, it's 95. Who are other, like, Halle Berry and Vivica A. Fox. There you go. That's Sugar and Spice.
We got Vivica in the next movie, though.
Oh, that's right. She is in the next movie. She's, Freeze's, like, assistant thing. I don't know what was going on there. That was kind of weird. She was like...
Which, by the way, for future reference, that is, like, when she shows up and they're singing the Snow Miser song.
Yeah.
Like, that's my favorite part of Batman and Robin, period. Nothing else touches that to me.
It's pretty good. It's like the best part of that movie. I watched that movie again recently. It's a hard watch to go. You go from Forever to that, and you're just like, ooh, damn. Because my wife is convinced that it's a good movie, and I'm like, no, it's not. It's a fun movie. You can get enjoyment out of that movie. Not good. It's not a good movie.
Good is so subjective, though.
Yes.
Because, like, prime example, if I say, hey, Mick, Have you ever seen Warriors of Virtue?
I have.
Now, would you consider that good?
No, it's fun. It's not good.
It's fun, but it's not good. But somebody might consider it good just based off of the memories associated with it.
That's fair. No, I do remember Warriors of Virtue, and it's fucking weird too. It's good.
Oh, it's
but it's not good. It's weird. It's fun. It's not good.
As of last week, it still is a movie.
Yep. Oh, I don't know. I guess like the other, to tie it back to your your assault on the legacy of Billy Zane, like The Phantom. Is that a good movie? Don't really think it is, but it's damn sure fun.
Right?
Or to tie it back to another very strange early 90s movie, which, by the way, Alec Baldwin never considered to be Bruce Wayne, but he was Lamont Cranston, the Shadow. Like, how was Alec Baldwin? Billy Baldwin was considered to be Batman for Batman Forever, but not Alec. Yeah.
Hold on. Wait. Do you know offhand when the Shadow dropped?
I don't.
1994. So it would have been right before this was released.
Maybe that's why they were like, we don't want this motherfucker to be in Batman, because we saw the Shadow. Although, he looks great in a tuxedo. Like,
oh, that's definitely true. Hell, I think you and I both used, Lamont Cranston in his quick change Shadow costume.
Bruce Wayne, yeah.
To be Bruce Wayne when we didn't have a Bruce Wayne available.
Yep. So, also, one thing that I forgot to mention about Chase Meridian. Originally, they had cast... hold on. Where is it? I just lost it. Oh, Renee Russo. But when they cast Kilmer, they thought she was too old for Val Kilmer. So they said, sorry, Renee Russo, you can't be Chase Meridian in this movie.
That's something they got to stop with. That.
Yeah, that it's kind of bullshit.
People being too old is bullshit.
Yeah, especially like, well, you don't match up. The other people that they were considered for Batman, Keanu Reeves. All right. Oh no, they did consider Alec and William Baldwin, which is the Billy Baldwin thing I don't get. Dean Cain, which he did not get. They actually, he got a little further into the possible casting, but they were like, well, I'm pretty sure that people are gonna just look at you and think you're Superman, so we can't do that. Tom Hanks, really glad they didn't do that shit, because you imagine Tom Hanks as Batman. Hi, Bruce Wayne. Hi, like. Ugh.
You know what though? I can see Tom Hanks making it work though.
I don't know.
You and I have both seen Road to Perdition.
That's fair. Okay, all right, fair enough. Kurt Russell was considered. I would watch Snake Plissken as Batman. Why not?
I would have loved to have him as a villain.
Yeah, he would have been good. Speaking of good villains, Daniel Day-Lewis, and I'm like, may have been too intense to be Batman. Like, we don't need him scarlet lettering and fucking screaming, my name! Like, we just... maybe a bit too intense for that movie. Ralph Fiennes, which... Nah.
Yeah.
And Johnny Depp, which I was like, what the fuck was Johnny Depp doing in 95? And I think he was doing Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. But he might have been an interesting Batman, Bruce Wayne.
He would have been an insane Riddler.
Ooh. Well, you remember there was that rumor for a while that he was going to be the Riddler in a sequel to when they were going to do, like, how do you top Heath Ledger's Joker? And it was Philip Seymour Hoffman as the Riddler, or as the Penguin, and Johnny Depp as the Riddler. That was, like, before they eventually did Bane and made that movie. You'll love these other possible castings for Two-Face, because I would never have picked any one of these people except one of the names. So you got Al Pacino, Clint Eastwood, Martin Sheen, Willem Dafoe, Robert De Niro, and Nicolas Cage. One of these things is not like the others.
So here's the thing, or a fun fact of sorts. So Clint Eastwood being old as Methuselah, had they continued on with 66 era Batman, You know, he would have played Two-Face in that, right?
He would?
Yeah.
Huh. That's weird. I did not know that. Man. Man, I don't need Two-Face being all like, oh, Batman, I don't know. I mean, that was terrible. Michael Jackson actually lobbied super hard for the role of the Riddler, which is interesting. Can you imagine?
So the more information that comes out just shows that Michael Jackson was such a fucking nerd.
Yeah.
Because he tried to play Spider-Man.
Yep.
He tried to play Peter Pan at one point.
Yep.
We know about his history with Sonic.
Yep.
So, yeah.
He was
He
all
doesn't get
into
his nerd
everything.
credit.
Yeah. So before they cast Jim Carrey as the Riddler, and this is like the weirdest collection of people for the Riddler, I think, because you go all over the board here. So John Malkovich, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see that, like real calculating kind of Riddler. Brad Dourif, which I'm like, ooh, yes, please. And apparently Tim Burton considered him to play the Scarecrow, and he was Burton's original choice to play the Joker. And I'm like, damn, what a misfire that was. Like, Brad Dourif would have been awesome.
I wonder if there's any, like, test footage of him auditioning or anything.
Because I immediately, like, when I think Brad Dourif in, like, that Joker role, my brain immediately goes to, like, Exorcist 3, and I'm like, oh, he would have been so good. Kelsey Grammer as the Riddler, which, what's he going to do? Hello, Batman. I'm listening. Like,
no, I wouldn't buy into Frasier as the Riddler.
No. Matthew Broderick, which, fucking Ferris
Maybe.
Bueller. I don't know. Phil Hartman as the Riddler. I'm like,
Eh.
The
comedic chops are there.
Yeah, Steve Martin. I don't.
No.
Yeah. Adam Sandler and Rob Schneider.
You almost made me cuss at you in front of all these people.
What
a definite not.
I read Batman. I read it. It's too hot for a bat just to be walking around.
If that would have been a thing, I probably would have stopped loving Batman.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie.
So this, I think, is the most disappointing news that I've read about this particular film. Mark Hamill was going to get the role, but had to turn it down due to contract issues. Fucking Luke Skywalker was going to be the Riddler.
But technically,
he is.
We've seen him play the role in The Flash.
That's probably why he was going to get it. That's probably exactly why he was going to get it, because he was straight up this movie's Riddler in The Flash.
Yeah. Shout out to John Wesley Shipp, by the way.
Hell yes.
You were great at your job.
Yeah, really enjoyed that. When we watched the Justice League 4-hour spectacularge, and when Barry's like talking to his dad, we're watching that, and Courtney goes, "I miss John Wesley Shipp," because he plays Barry Allen's dad in the TV show, and I was like, "Oh God, that is the honest truth." So before we get out of here, any closing thoughts about Batman Forever that stick with you? Anything that, like, why do you love this movie, if you could sum it up?
It's the memories, man. Like, just about anything pre 9/11 was like, because that's the end of the age of innocence.
Yes.
Like, anything pre that just like hits like a special note, because they just seem like, in general, happier times. Because there could be stuff that you and your child mind had no idea what was going on, but you might know about now. But at that moment in time, you go into the theater and you see those opening credits start. You can get that feeling again. And nothing touches that feeling of being like, okay, we're about to go for this ride again. Same way when you see like the New Line Cinema logo. You see that. Doesn't matter what you're watching, but you know it's about to be fun.
Yep.
Because the fucking TriStar Pictures logo.
Yep.
Like, you see them, it brings back happier memories. Enjoy the films for what they are. An escape. A slice of nostalgia. not everything has to be Citizen Kane.
It's true.
Because quite frankly, Citizen Kane is not that great.
Fucking sucks. It's boring.
You can films should be films that you enjoy, should be things that you enjoy. Strictly you.
Yes.
Nobody else has to be involved. One thing that's wrong with the world now, they tend to lean towards things for acceptance.
Agreed.
Like with this film, not everybody likes it, but we fucking love it.
Yeah.
And we have our reasons why we love it. And we're here talking about those reasons now.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't necessarily detail the movie itself, but find things that you love for reason that you love them, and then go love the fuck out of them while you can.
And be unabashedly proud about the love for them, I think. Like you said, for me, and one of the reasons why I love this movie as well, it's a time capsule. Like, this movie literally transports me back. Like, when I watched this movie in preparation for this, I'm transported back to what my life was in 1995. Because I feel like this is one of those first movies that I went to the theaters to see. I remember a lot of the commercials for it, the lead-in for it. I was aware of who the actors in the movie were, because I was like, oh, that's Jim Carrey, it's Tommy Lee Jones. Like, I knew who everything was going into the movie. And more than that, 89 Batman undoubtedly had Batman fever. Like, it took the world by storm. It was like, hey, Batman's here. I feel like this movie did the exact same thing, but ingrained more so into pop culture. And even if it didn't...
And they made it more targeted towards children, too.
Yes. And even if people are like, well, no, see, bro, you don't know. You were like 2 years old in 89. It's like, yes, but I was 8 years old in 95 when this movie came out. So I remember being in the skating rink, and Kiss from a Rose comes on, and the dude over the... And now the song from the hit movie Batman Forever, Seals, Kiss from a Rose. Couples skate, grab the hand of your partner and go. Like, I remember...
But it would never be that clear, though.
No, it's it's the fucking teacher from Charlie Brown on the mic. Ooh. Yeah, so, those are the things that stick out for me is, a lot of pieces of this movie, like McDonald's, the Seal song, the U2 song, everything just ties in. The Nintendo game, the Sega game, all that's the pinball machine, and the visual design of the movie is amazing. Like you said, the Riddler symbol with everything. Oh my god, it's incredible. So it takes you back to a time when things hadn't been driven into the dirt with Batman and Robin yet. No. Kidding. That movie has it has its place in the world, and
if we end up talking about Batman and Robin, I feel like it'll be a similar conversation, because while it's not a very good movie, the memories we have associated with it supersedes anything that could have been shitty about the movie.
Agreed. But no, I mean, that's why we do this. That's why I do this show. That's why it was one thing. I watch a ton of movies, and I have a lot of friends who love movies like I do, and it was important to me to go out and seek out the people with similar interests to myself. So of course, when I got to, we talked about it. We were like, do we talk about 89 or do we talk about Forever? And I think you made the call. You're like, 89, I think has been talked about by enough people. Let's talk about Forever. And I agreed, because I thought that was a good idea. I feel like Forever doesn't get talked about enough in a positive light. How about that?
Right. Forever doesn't. Mask of the Phantasm definitely doesn't.
Oh my god, Mask of the Phantasm is incredible. So
that might be my favorite Bat film, overall, of all of them, completely. That might be my favorite.
It's basically perfect. I don't know how you top it. You could argue, well, it's a cartoon. It's not fair. It's yes, it is. It's my show. I'll say what I want. So before we get out of here, is there anything that you got going on that you want to share with the good folks out there that they can check out? I have your Twitter account below, so if anybody doesn't follow my podcast partner and friend, please give him a follow.
Yeah, funny conversations with the beard or convos with beard on everything. We've got the hunt, of course.
Yes.
You know, my fellow plastic paragon. We also have something coming soon. It's tentatively titled the Marvel Writers Room.
Very excited.
But there's, we'll cover other things like DC films as well. But it's more or less a giant what if. What if myself or Nicolas Cage were here? What would we do to ingratiate certain characters into the MCU? We've already discussed what he's going to bring in soon, so that'll be fun. Don't know what he's going to do with it, but I trust him. I trust him because his nerd cred is pretty high up there, so he knows what the fuck he's talking about. So, yeah, just stay tuned. Follow me on Twitter.
He's got.
You see me out and about. Say hi. I don't bite hard often.
There it is. As Jamal said, we do the hunt, which is one of my favorite things to do. I look forward. We're actually about to lay one down on wax after this. Very excited. That's always one of my favorite things to do. It's one of those things that I look forward to doing. Is more so than collecting toys. Damn, I love talking about it, and I especially love talking about it with him because he's a good dude, and he's a good dude.
We hate a lot of the same things.
It's true. We hate a lot of the same things, but more importantly, we like a lot of the same things too. And that's what it's about. And so normally when I wrap up, I always say never be game over. But as this is a show about movies, I will leave you with this piece of wisdom, and that is a bad day at the movies is better than a good day at work. I'm Mick Arcade. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.